Welcome back, everybody, to the Success Partner Podcast. I am your host, Daya Naef. And today in the studio, we have Deborah Kaminetzky. And we've talked a couple of times over the last couple of years that we've known each other. And we are unicorns in a way. We have very similar backgrounds that are a Venn diagram of helping people via law and tech and consulting and mediation. And Deborah, I just would love for you to come on and just share your story with us today.
Sure. Well, thanks so much for having me. I started out in law because I was making my parents happy, and I always loved technology, and I did a lot of technology for the firm, that I had, and also I did a lot of continuing legal ed for lawyers and attorneys on technology, and eventually in 2019 was offered a role in Seattle that I flew across the country for to have my first job in actual tech working on a Microsoft project. And I never looked back. I basically have just been doing technology. I'm a project manager, project management consultant. And I do have that special, as you called it, unicorn skill set, where I'm also going to understand the compliance. I'm going to understand, can we do this? Like, it sounds great, but legally, can we do this? And I'll notice those kinds of issues, plus the mediation skills that every project manager needs, because you've got varying stakeholders all the way from the end user to the people on the board, finance, and everyone's got to come together and make the project happen.
Yeah, I love that. I totally see it. Tell us about a success story.
Oh boy. Well, there's been a few of them. One of the biggest, I think, that I really enjoyed working on was a project I did with a nonprofit. We had to change over their whole tech stack, but especially their database. And they were looking at the typical solutions one looks at, which are very expensive and have monthly recurring fees per seat. And what we ended up realizing was that they already had the Microsoft subscription for nonprofits, which is a very nice deal. If it's something that you're a nonprofit, you definitely want to take advantage of that. And we ended up putting all of their data into SharePoint with a Power Apps layer. And for those of you who don't know what that means, it's essentially giving you that same look that you would have with one of the more pricey solutions. And you're able to put your data in. We did go through a whole mapping exercise of how they wanted the data, because I explained to them that you want to be able to do something. It's not just a matter of getting it in. You also want to be able to do reporting and dashboards and all of that. So it's really important to know how you want it to go in so that you can plan on how to get it out and how to use it. I explained the difference between drop downs, conditional logic, free text fields, all those kinds of things. And in the end, they ended up with a solution they were really happy with. And they did not have that extra per seat expense. So they saved a lot of money too, which wasn't even one of the things they were trying to do initially.
Yeah, that's great. I am finding, and like you said, it's like people have a tech stack and they don't even know what's in their tech stack. And they think they're pricing these big solutions that they don't even know what problems they're going to solve with the solutions in the get go. What kind of how do you come in an engagement? Like, what kind of questions are the first ones you ask?
It depends on the particular engagement, because I come in different ways. I can come in as a senior PM on a project with somebody else's client if they need really a superior set of skills and not just somebody who's going to schedule meetings. But I also can do RFIs, RFPs, and help people figure out what the project should be. And I think requirements gathering is really, really number one important, because if you don't know what they're trying to achieve and they're needing help even figuring out what that is, the project's not going to succeed, because nobody really understands what it's supposed to look like. So you want to definitely have that definition of success. What does a successful project look like? What is it that you are trying to solve? What problems are you having now? And sometimes it'll be exactly what they thought they wanted, and that's great. And sometimes they'll realize, oh, wow, yeah, actually, we really want this other solution. And sometimes it's just a matter of their tech stack being what we call a Frankenstack, and it's not working well together, right? They have 20 different things that none of them are working well. No integrations, no automations, and it's just taking everyone a lot of time. So really getting in, talking to not just the people who are in charge of the finance of the project or deciding whether there's going to be able to be a project, but the end users as well. Often the people who are making the decisions about the project and whether to have it really don't know how people are getting their work done. And they really need to understand what they are doing, what they are supposed to be doing, which are not necessarily the same thing, and really making sure everyone understands, okay, this is where we're going and this is how we're going to get there.
Yeah, I see that all the time. The people actually using the technology or using the processes are not the people that are being consulted in where to take the business or the project forward. Um, so wonderful. You were telling me earlier, like we have had a couple of career changes in our life, and I think the most exciting one was when you went over to Seattle. And tell me about that project that got you cut your teeth in IT.
Yeah. Well, before I got that offer, I had been lecturing and writing articles on technology for lawyers and attorneys, doing CLEs. And then when that offer came, it was an offer to work on a Microsoft project. That was in 2019. I thought about it. It meant me leaving New York, going to Seattle. This was before COVID, so we had to actually be in the place where we were working. And I decided to take it because I thought, okay, I'm in my 50s. I'm never going to get an offer like this again. I'm going to go for it. So I went and I thought, either I'm going to fall on my face in like a couple of weeks and I can come back to my law firm, which I had put on a shelf, or I'm really going to do well and this is going to be a whole new thing for me. So here we are several years later, and it was great and it worked out well. I loved working on that project. It was a really fun one, especially, this may sound weird, but especially when COVID hit. It was called Zero Touch Deployment at the time, using autopilot, and it was about deploying and imaging laptops in the cloud and sending them to the end user wherever they were, drop shipping.
Oh wow, how perfect.
Right. And then during COVID, it was called zero touch. You weren't supposed to touch your face. You weren't supposed to touch anything. Right. And no one wanted to go into offices, and people in the offices didn't want them coming in. So this was great. And it really, really took off. I trained over 130 Microsoft partners on this solution.
That's amazing. So that was definitely divine. You took the chance, you took the leap of faith, and then there was the divine interventions that rolled out that project for you. Help you. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Right. And the cherry on top was during COVID, I was remote. So I was able to come back to New York and see my family more often, although I did fly 5 times during COVID.
Uh-huh.
Mask, face shield, the whole thing.
The whole thing. Yeah, yeah. When we started, as soon as we could start flying again, I did. But just the added, I have a real system for my business travel. I know exactly where everything is. Everything has a place, and then something about adding that mask, and I wear glasses too, fogging up my glasses that just like really threw off my business travel game. So I was happy when we didn't have to do that anymore. Yeah, wonderful. Well, what if I'm your client and I'm listening to this podcast right now? How do I recognize myself as your client?
Well, you're either a large implementation partner of a company like Microsoft or other large companies like Atlassian, those types of things. I used to work for one called Bullhorn, and I'm actually working on a client-side Bullhorn project right now. So you could be the implementation partner, you could be the smaller company that needs a project manager for this one tech project, but you don't need a project manager all the time. And you're not necessarily going to get somebody with my experience and skill set as a freelancer, right? So I'm not a freelancer, I'm fractional, and there's a huge difference. And I know that you, Daya, know the difference. But I will come in and get it done, and you'll be better off for having hired me.
Yeah. Share with us a little bit about that, the difference between the freelancer and the
Sure.
fractional.
Freelancers frequently, not always, but frequently have a job or don't, and they're taking on a project because they need a little bit of extra cash. My company, De facto PM, is set up as a fractional company. We have insurance. Everything is run professionally. I'm not working for anyone else during the day. So I will take on projects that I think, are good for me and for the client. And there's just a really, really different level of the service. the billing, everything. It's just not some, I'm not sitting in the dark playing video games with my black hoodie on and then doing your work on the side. It's just a completely different situation.
Hmm. Yeah, like you said, I'm familiar with I am fractional myself, a fractional role that we are previous C-suite executives, and we're actually we built a business now modeled after our own experience, and then the services the very specific services that we provide in the industry. Oh, wonderful. Well, where can people find you?
Well, they can always find me on LinkedIn. I'm the only Deborah Kaminetzky on LinkedIn, or my phone number is 516-374-0074. Website is defactoprojectmanagement.com, and that's where they can find me.
Great.
Located in New
And
York.
New York, right? What part of New York?
I am on Long Island, not in Long Island, for those of you who are
Uh-huh.
not familiar. And I'm right outside of Manhattan, about a 40-minute train ride. So I'm in the city a lot.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, New York. I am definitely a New York girl. They say you're either a New York or a San Francisco, and I'm 100% New York. I tried to live in San Francisco once. It didn't pan out. Wonderful. And what do you do for fun?
For fun, I like to travel. About a
Okay.
month ago, I was in Peru,
Okay.
and a couple months before that, Bermuda. I've been almost every continent. Haven't been to Australia yet, but I'd like to go one day. So
Yeah. Me
travel,
either.
yeah.
Me either. Let's plan on Australia and New Zealand. What, 2027? Let's do it then.
Sounds good.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today. For everybody listening, this has been another episode of the Partner Podcast. I'm your host, Daya Naef. Please like, subscribe, and stay tuned.